the episode showing today. We will discuss the historic Battle of Pliska in Bulgaria. Summary. The Battle of Pliska or Battle of Verbitsa Pass was a series of battles between troops, gathered from all parts of the Byzantine Empire, led by the Emperor Nicephorus I, in the First Bulgarian Empire, governed by Khan Krum. The Byzantines plundered and burned the Bulgar capital Pliska, which gave time for the Bulgarians to block passes in the Balkan mountains that served as exits out of Bulgaria. The final battle took place on 26 July 811, in some of the passes in the eastern part of the Balkans, most probably the Verbitsa Pass. There, the Bulgarians used the tactics of ambush and surprise night attacks to effectively trap and immobilize the Byzantine army, thus annihilating almost the whole army, including the emperor. After the battle, Krum encased the skull of Nicephorus in silver, and used it as a cup for drinking. This is one of the most documented instances of the custom of the skull cup. The Battle of Pliska was one of the worst defeats in Byzantine history. It deterred Byzantine rulers from sending their troops north of the Balkans for more than 150 years afterwards, which increased the influence and spread of the Bulgarians to the west and south of the Balkan Peninsula, resulting in a great territorial enlargement of the First Bulgarian Empire. Preparation for an invasion. In 811, Nicephorus organized a large force in an attempt to conquer Bulgaria once and for all. The army included forces from the Anatolian and European Namata, and the imperial bodyguard, the Tagmata. In addition, the army was joined by a number of irregular troops who expected a swift victory and the chance to plunder. The conquest was supposed to be easy, and many high-ranking officials and aristocrats accompanied Nicephorus, including his son Stauracius and his brother-in-law Michael I Rangabe. The entire army consisted of approximately 60,000 to 80,000 soldiers. The battle. While Nicephorus and his army were busy plundering the Bulgarian capital, Krum mobilized his people, including women and Avar mercenaries, to set traps and ambushes in the mountain passes. The Hungarians also supported the Bulgarians in the effort against the Byzantines. Initially Nicephorus intended to march through Mysia and reach Serdica before returning to Constantinople, but the news of these preparations for a battle changed his decision and he chose the shortest way to his capital. The overconfident emperor neglected to scout ahead, and on July 25 the Byzantine army entered the Verbitsa Pass. The Byzantine cavalry, however, told Nicephorus that the road was barred with wooden walls and that Krum's forces watched from the surrounding heights. The emperor became panicked by the situation and repeatedly stated to his companions, "Even if we have had wings we could not have escaped from peril." Before they could retreat, the Bulgars blocked the valley entrance. Nicephorus, unwilling to consider an assault on the palisades, simply set up camp, despite his general's misgivings. From the heights, the Bulgarian troops began an effort to taunt and unsettle the Byzantine forces by means of banging their shields. After 3 days, the morale of the Byzantine troops was shattered. That evening, the Bulgarians assembled their troops and tightened the belt around their trapped enemy. At dawn, the Bulgarians rushed down the hills, killing the panicked and confused Byzantines. The Byzantine imperial bodyguard was the first to be attacked. The Byzantines fruitlessly resisted for a short time and perished. Upon seeing their comrades' fate, the other units broke and ran. As the Byzantines fled to the south, they came upon a muddy river that was difficult to cross. Unable to quickly ford the river, many of the Byzantines, including mounted forces, fell into the water and became stuck in the mud. As additional waves of panicked and fleeing soldiers arrived at the river, they trampled and killed many of their compatriots. The river became filled with so many dead that the pursuing Bulgarians easily passed over the dead and continued to hunt down and attack the Byzantines. Those Byzantines who made it across the river were later confronted by high-moated wooden walls constructed by the Bulgarians to impede the pathways to the south. The Byzantines attempted to climb over the wall and many were partially successful only to suffer injuries and death in the process. The Byzantines attempted to burn the walls, but this tactic also proved ineffective and resulted in additional casualties. Almost all the fleeing Byzantines perished, some were killed by the sword, others drowned in the river, and many were mortally injured at the walls. Aftermath. Reportedly, few Byzantines survived the defeat. Among the nobles killed were the patricians Theodosios Salabaras and Sicinios Trifilios, the strategos of the Anatolics Romanos and the strategos of Thrace, as well as the commanders of the Excubitors and Vigla Tagmata. The most notable person to be killed, however, was Emperor Nicephorus, who according to historians died on a dunghill on the day of the battle. Nicephorus's son, Stauracius, was carried to safety by the imperial bodyguard after receiving a paralyzing wound to his neck. 6 months later, his wounds eventually killed him. According to tradition, Crum had the emperor's head put on a spike, lined the skull with silver, and used it as a drinking cup.